All right, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Monday's morning briefing from the Celtic Way. As we continue through the summer, we've reached June the 9th, Josh. Not too long until Celtic are back. Just a matter of weeks and the team will be back in training. Okay, it's like 3 weeks and that's just pre-season training. But come on, positivity. There's stuff to talk about as well. How are you, first of all?
Yeah, very good, Hamish. Very good. Tearing my eyeballs out of that Scotland performance on Friday night. But no, a good weekend overall. How about yourself?
Great, because I didn't manage to actually watch that Scotland game. Was it horrendous?
Yeah, very. Iceland comfortably winning at Hampden.
Yeah.
Very, very poor. Felt sorry for young Kieran Slicker between the sticks, but that's enough about Scotland. On to Celtic now.
It's probably about a minute too long spent talking about the national team. Morning, everyone. I see all the comments coming in. Morning to the likes of Pete and whoever else. Lovely to have you with us during the off season. As I say, a few things to discuss today. Bit of an update, pretty big update on Greg Taylor. Chat dominating, or chat about Kieran Tierney. I think dominating stuff online. He's injured, which is probably not what we wanted to hear, but I don't think it's particularly horrendous news. Certainly, some of the stuff I've seen online is scaremongering. I would put it, rather than based on any sort of actual evidence. And we can chat a wee bit about transfers as well. What's been going on, Josh? Because I've kind of been out of this for the last week. Is there anything major going on?
Try to jog my memory here. Excuse me. Obviously, the Greg Taylor thing. This morning, Tony had the story up on the Celtic Way that he's expected to sign for top tier Greek outfit PAOK in the next 48 hours. He was on holiday in Dubai with his family, his wife and his young daughter. It looks like a deal that's going to go through. Free transfer. I think Greg Taylor's given a lot to Celtic in his time at the club. 6 years, over 200 appearances, 42 goals and assists, 11 trophies won. He's been a really good servant to the club. He always gives his all, never hides away. And he can look back in his time at the club with fondness. In terms of other transfer news, Celtic were linked with a Turkish midfielder on Saturday. His name suddenly escapes my mind now. But he was on loan at Rio Ave last season.
Okay.
Portugal. He's on the books at Besiktas. Remains to be seen what's going to happen with that. But no real concrete links. If you know what I mean. In terms of the team returning, it's less than a month to the first pre-season friendly against Cork City, the 8th of July.
Wow.
That game is, and it's currently the 9th of June. So we can all look forward to that.
Demir Tiknaz, is that the player that we're talking about? Midfielder on loan at Rio Ave from Besiktas. Must admit, I didn't come across that at all. Okay, let's just start with the Greg Taylor stuff then, because as you see, a pretty big story. And yeah, Celtic Way, we understand that Greg Taylor has played his final game for Celtic. He's going to join Greek side PAOK. And that should be concluded within the next 48 hours. This is from Tony. It's on the website, everyone. So please check that out. And that's the story. Basically, as you said, Taylor's been away on holiday in Dubai, and I think significant progress has been made in this over the weekend. So what we're hearing is that Greg Taylor's away. Probably not a huge surprise, but I guess it just ends any lingering chat about him potentially staying on.
Yeah, it's a shame the way his kind of Celtic career ended, obviously with the cup final. But it's an interesting move because Greece is probably one where I don't know if there's any Scottish players that have ever played out in Greece before. It's a good opportunity for him to go and play abroad. He'll get guaranteed good weather there throughout the year. That might be a factor in his decision. They finished third in the Greek table last season, so they're up there with one of the bigger teams in the country. So it's a decent career move for him, and it's a big contract, as Brendan Rodgers has alluded to. It's a 2-year deal. We understand he's going to be signing with the option of a further year. So he's 27 years of age, so that'll take him probably, if he signs the extension, through to his 30 years of age. And I assume he'll be on a decent wage there, probably one of their higher earners. It's one their manager was keen to do. So from a PAOK perspective, it's a really good bit of business, actually, getting an international player who's been a regular for Celtic for the past 6 years. Just on his Celtic career in general, the number of left backs that have come into the team that were initially brought in to kind of replace and challenge Greg Taylor, and he's kept his place in the team over him. Alessandro Bernabé, Alex Valle, Jeffrey Sloop, most recently, and Taylor's managed to keep his place. So deserves a lot of credit. He underappreciated at times. People forget he was getting Player of the Year shouts in Ange Postecoglou's second season in charge. He was
great.
2 goals against Rangers at Hampden. One victory, 1 loss. He's had a really good career at Celtic, and it's a shame to see him go because personally, I feel he would have been the perfect player to have alongside Kieran Tierney in the squad. He provides a totally different dynamic, and the manager has spoke several times about how big a character he is in the dressing room and how key having that Scottish core is, and that's a player out of that you're losing, but they're getting a decent left back in the door in Kieran Tierney, but you still need another one now that Taylor's away.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of follow up on your point of how many well-known Scottish players have actually played in Greece. My exhaustive searches online have told me Lee Bullen, former centre back, I think, Dunfermline, maybe a few other teams. Apparently
Former
played for
United manager.
True. Apparently played for Panathinaikos.
Wow.
Which I'm going to quickly search because that seems. I don't know if Google's AI is having me on here.
It's interesting.
I think it is because there's no mention of Panathinaikos. So I don't know where they've pulled that from. Apparently, Islam Farouz, remember him, had a spell in Greece as well. Check that. But basically, the story here is that not many. It's not a well-trodden path for Scottish players to play in Greece. Yeah,
definitely. So it's a not a strange career move, you could say, but at the same time, it's one where he'll go. It's probably a nice place to live for him. His family's obviously just had the young daughter Ruby, who brought out onto the pitch at Celtic Park. There was chat of MLS. That was kind of rumour mill a couple of months ago.
It's all been foreign, hasn't it? There's not been any. I know there was that daft links to across the city, but there's not really been any English interest in him, which I think a lot of people would probably have assumed he would have gone to England, but it was Zagreb, wasn't it? Pau, because you say MLS stuff.
I think those kind of leagues will suit his game, though, in terms of the way he is as a fullback. He's not entirely physical. He likes to get on the ball. Slower pace of the leagues and likes of your Croatia or what it will be in Greece, so it'll probably suit his game much more than probably somewhere like down south would. So, yeah, a good move for him. Not a great move. Like he's not as if he's going down south to English Premier League to a lower team there, but it's a good career move. It will set him up nicely going into the latter years of his career.
Okay, so that's Greg Taylor. More on the website. You can read that story in full. Tony's been working hard to firm that up, and there's plenty of information there on, what's been going on with Greg Taylor. And the bottom line is he is going to be signing for Greek side PAOK. Is it PAOK Salonika? Is that right? Am I right? It's Thessaloniki. Is it that one? I'm sure it's PAOK Thessaloniki. I'm definitely butchering that name. But that's who Greg Taylor's going to be with next season. We expect confirmation over the next couple of days. Just before we continue, should you say a big thanks to Seneca Medical Group, #1 hair transplantation clinic in the UK, for sponsoring this video and indeed every video we're going to be doing this coming season. Are we firmly in this coming season now? It's this season, or are we still in the crossover period?
And I think when there's less than a month to the first pre-season friendly and a lot of the real chat is about transfers, Kieran Tierney, I think we're firmly in the new season, the 2025-26 campaign. Yeah, definitely.
Good stuff. Seneca have clinics in Glasgow, Edinburgh and Aberdeen as well. So big thanks to them for sponsoring this. Kieran Tierney stuff. You mentioned you saw the Scotland game. Tierney's not going to feature for Scotland against Liechtenstein in a game that we'll certainly win. It's fueled speculation online that he could be missing for a fair amount of time, and this is horrendous news. Quotes from Steve Clarke saying that Kieran Tierney and Scott McTominay both came into the camp carrying little issues from the season. Basically, if we had a longer turnaround between the games, then Tierney might have had a chance. But feels like it's the end of the season and probably a chance or a time not to take any risks there. So doesn't seem too bad. He's going to get a little bit of a rest, Kieran Tierney. I don't know if he'll join up with the Celtic squad at the start of pre-season or if he might be given an extra week as tends to be the case. But doesn't seem like he's got like a bad injury or anything like that you might have seen online.
Yeah, well, I think that was the initial feeling when you saw the tweet came through from Scotland. Squad update out. Kieran Tierney, Scott McTominay have to withdraw through injury, and it's that familiar. Here we go. But thankfully, that doesn't seem to be the case. It's not a bad one. As Steve Clark says, safe the Liechtenstein game was even tomorrow or Wednesday, probably would have played. So, yeah, a relieving update from the national team manager. I think it was a tough night for Scotland in general on Friday. Tierney played in the left side of a back three, what he usually does with Scotland, kind of try to partner up with Andy Robertson on the left-hand side. Didn't particularly stand out. None of the players stood out, really. It was a poor night all round. But he'll get a good couple of weeks now to recover, and he'll be fully firing, I expect, coming back into pre-season. But it just underlines, though, that you need to sign a decent backup for him, a reliable backup, because things like that can happen in an instant with Tierney. He has a record of it, as much as it's a really good signing. And I think once he gets fit and firing, he could be the best player in the league, probably will be the best player in the league when he's at his best. But at the same time, things like that can happen in an instant. So, especially with Greg Taylor going now, and Champions League qualifiers coming up in August, the league starting back, you need to sign a left back, because Celtic can't afford to be going into that with Tierney injured and it's Liam Scales at left back in a Champions League playoff. That cannot be the scenario we're looking at. So left back for me now has to be one of the things on the top of the priority list.
So we're definitely not going to go into this crucial qualifier with Liam Scales at left back. That's not going to happen.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way, because we have to be clever with Kieran Tierney coming back to the club. Even more so if he's carrying some sort of knock or whatever from the end of the season with Arsenal. There's been a bit of chat about left backs coming in. I know Keita Kasuji, the Japanese player playing in Sweden, I saw him mentioned a little bit more over the weekend. I don't know if that means there's any more in it. There was a player playing in England earlier in the week, wasn't there, as well? So there's been a bit of talk about a left back coming in.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything to the one in England boy that's playing for Peterborough. I don't think there was much in that. Kasuji seems like an exciting link. I think he got to the semi-finals of the UEFA Conference League with Djurgården. Probably butchering that team's name, but yeah, it looks like an exciting player. He's only 19 years of age, played at Japanese youth level, and maybe it's one where he looks at the success the likes of Ryutate, Daizumeda, Kyogo Furuhashi have had at Celtic, although they haven't got big moves yet. They have certainly succeeded, and they're adored here in Glasgow by the green side of the city. So it's one where he looks, and it's a good example for him to come here as a young player, a big European club, play Champions League football, play European football, win trophies, and then, because he's still only 19, then get a move elsewhere. And he will get minutes. Whoever the left back is going to get a good chunk of games, because Kieran Tierney, I think it's 6 years he's been away from Celtic, has averaged 25 games a season. Celtic play about 50, 60 games a season nowadays. So you need reliable cover, and I'd be interested to see if Kasuji could be that. If out of all the names that have been mentioned so far, I'd certainly like him as probably top of my choice list.
Yeah, I mean, I think a young player would work, pretty well. I feel like someone like Alex Vai, this time last year, I'm not saying we're going to obviously go back for Vai, but that just might work a little bit better, given that they're probably going to have more opportunities to play than maybe they would have under Greg Taylor, because Greg Taylor tended to be the player that Brendan Rodgers went to for the big games and the majority of games. It feels to me, just from what the manager's been saying, that we will be pretty careful with Kieran Tierney and gradually work him, certainly in the first half of the season when we've got a number of games. Just when you're mentioning that Tierney's been away for 6 years, it's weird that he replaced Taylor and now, Taylor replaced him, and now he's going to be replacing Taylor 6 years later. But I think a young player coming in would definitely be good there. Hearing anything else about any other positions? I sense things are quite slow at the moment.
Yeah, I know Kyogo Furuhashi has been mentioned, but my understanding is that there's absolutely nothing in that, and he will not return to Celtic. Stranger things have happened, but that's what I know. In terms of players linked as well, there's not much going on at the minute. I assume the manager is probably still on his holidays, maybe out in Mallorca. I know he likes to frequent there. He's got a house
Play
there.
A bit of golf.
Yeah, perhaps. So maybe get a couple of players around his villa, because that's what he's done in the past. Odin Thiago Home, I believe, visited there, who's about to play in the Club World Cup, actually. One thing we haven't touched on, actually, though, is the Postecoglou sacking, because we haven't been on since that. Would you think of that, Hamish?
Yeah, it was. I was a bit surprised, to be honest. I thought after he won the Europa League, I was kind of feeling like that had been such a game changer for Spurs that they would kind of keep him. But I guess Daniel Levy is pretty hard to predict at times and what he does. And I know a few people, I was chatting to after they won the Europa League were feeling that, this was typical Daniel Levy, that potentially he could move him on. I think they're getting Thomas Frank in from Brentford. I'm not I think he's a decent enough manager, but that would seem a poor move from me to get rid of Postecoglou, who I know had a really poor season in the Premier League, but had generally, I feel, was still building something, and like the players were completely bought into what he was doing. I think a lot of the Spurs support were finally buying in after they obviously won that trophy. And yeah, I don't really understand it, but I think Ange will be fine. I don't know. I saw a message in there about AK Athens. I saw an interview actually from Ange over the weekend. I don't know if it was a new interview, but it was talking about him joining Celtic and the story of that, and I found that quite interesting.
Yeah, I think that was a podcast from 3 years ago. I looked at the date on it, and it was October 2022. But still an interesting story nonetheless. The comment there about AEK Athens, I think he actually says on that podcast he could have joined them before he joined Celtic, and he didn't eventually get the job. They went for a coach who had experience in Europe, who was then sacked within 5 months. So I wonder if he'll, go back to AEK Athens. But yeah, it's a strange one. Wins the club the first trophy in 17 years, and he admitted himself that they parked to the league in January. They made Europe the priority, hence their poor league position, and they win the Europa League. Very, very strange. But I'm sure he'll find somewhere where he's more appreciated. And bold prediction, he'll win a trophy again before Spurs win a trophy again.
Yeah, potentially another team across the city as well. I thought you were going to say bold prediction, he'll manage us again in the future. Is there any chance of that? I feel like he probably would feel he'd done his bit in Scottish football, but then again, I thought the same about Brendan Rodgers, so I guess stranger things could happen.
Definitely. I think if Steve Clarke goes, he could be a shout for the Scotland job. That might be a bit more ambitious than returning to Celtic and getting the Celtic job again. But you never know. Obviously, question marks still over Brendan Rodgers' future. I think we need to get some certainty over that in the next 6 months, ideally. So then the door could be open next summer, and if Ange's still out of a job, then the links will go into overdrive, won't they?
Yeah. Just reading some comments from Vil Sinizalo. I think he's away on international duty at the moment with Finland, saying Kasper Schmeichel has 1 year left in his contract. I have 4. We are proceeding according to plan. I am 15 years younger than him. Hopefully next season I'll get more minutes. I'll just try to play as well as I can when the opportunity arises. We'll see what happens. And he's gone on to speak a bit about Schmeichel, saying he's an excellent guy, saying he supported him even when he was out with injury. And I think they have a pretty good relationship. He's talking about being more of a project, which I guess is what we all saw as fans when Sinizalo was signed. We all very obviously saw the plan was Schmeichel for now, Sinizalo for the future. But it's good to kind of see it coming together a little bit. Like I think Sinizalo's been pretty impressive when he's played. I think we're going to see more of him next season as well. I've said this before, but I think that was a plan anyway. But potentially that's even more of a plan now, given that we've seen Sinizalo and he looked pretty good. So, I mean, again, I think everyone's calling out for this, but give him the cup competitions next season. Give him the odd league game as well during that ultra-marathon period. Like if we've got a big Champions League game, I know goalkeeper position is slightly different and that the fitness maybe isn't as much of an issue, but if we're away in Europe in midweek and we have a Saturday lunchtime game away in the league on the following weekend and get Sinizalo in for those kind of games. I want to see more of him. I think we have enough games to do that next season. And I think there's a real opportunity to do that.
Yeah, he's barely put a foot wrong since he's come in the door in the games he's played.
Or a hand.
under a hand, yeah, very good point. Even at Ibrox, I thought he was pretty decent there. Didn't really put a hand wrong. Made a couple of good saves, stood up to the pressure. And what I like about Wilson Asalo is when you hear his comments, he's never shied away from his ambition to be Celtic's number one. It is very clear that's what he wants to do. And I like that in a player, a guy who knows where he wants to be. He's at a big club, but he's not afraid to shy away from making his desires public and clear. And yeah, like he says, Schmeichel will probably be gone this time next year, so then it's his chance to step up and be number one. I think it was crucial that we got to see him for that kind of stretch of games towards the end of last season, or else you wouldn't really know much about him. He played against Wraith Rovers in the Scottish Cup around about February time, but that was a game that won 5-0. Don't even think he faced a shot at that game. I think Brendan Rodgers said as well around about that the time when he's playing his kind of 8 games in a row or whatever it was, that if we hadn't seen him during this run, there was a chance he could have been sent out on loan next season, so he could actually fully see what it's like. But now he's had the games, he's had the opportunities, and he's shown he can play for Celtic, so he'll definitely be sticking around next season. And like you say, cup games could be ideal for him, and then maybe if Kasper Schmeichel's getting a rest, because he is getting a bit older now. Obviously, still, I don't know if he's going to be recovering from that injury over the summer, or how much it's going to affect him, because he didn't look sharp in the cup final, in my opinion. But yeah, Sinisalo will be number one in future, and it's good. Even when you think about what Celtic paid for him, £1 million, it's a very, very shrewd investment for an international goalkeeper who looks up to the mark, decent with the ball at his feet. I think with some he's playing out for the back, he still has a wee bit of improvement to go, but that will come with time, that will come with experience, and he looks like a good shot stopper as well, who can command his box.
Yeah, he's certainly not as polished as Schmeichel with the ball at his feet at this point of his career, but as you say, that'll hopefully come. He's not, I wouldn't say he's bad with his feet. Like he's a modern goalkeeper. I just think I like his kind of calming presence more than anything so far. Like I just feel like a lot of the time when you have a young goalkeeper who's really playing for a major club for the first time, you know, your presence and calmness would be a bit of a worry. And I think that's the biggest compliment you can give him, is that you feel pretty secure when he's in there. Yeah. I know he had maybe a couple of moments. There was that disallowed goal at Ibrox that he wasn't great. And I don't know, there's maybe a debate about a couple of other goals. But I thought generally in those games he was really solid and made a number of really good saves as well. So that's positive. I'm reading Ross Doohan is cut short his holiday to play for Scotland potentially. I know they've got a bit of an injury crisis there. Is there any update on Doohan and Celtic? We kind of expect that to happen.
Yeah, I think it's more or less a given that he's going to be signing that contract and coming back to take Scott Bain's place in the team. Obviously been at the club for a long, long time, even before he left. So yeah, he's had experience. He went down south, back up to Aberdeen, played against Celtic a couple of times last season, looked all right. But yeah, it's one where he'll come in. He'll be a member of the squad, homegrown, and be a character in the dressing room who looks to drive the standards of the club. But yeah, he could play for Scotland tonight. Remains to be seen if Clark's going to stick with young Kieran Slicker. I very doubt Callum McKenna, the other goalkeeper who's got called up, who's at Bournemouth, who's only 18. I very much doubt he's going to throw him in. So there is a good chance Doohan could play. It would be his senior Scotland debut, so that'd be good to see ahead of his move to Celtic. So yeah, just on Sinisalo, I was going to say, the point I was going to make escapes me now. I'll go back to you, Hamish, before I figure out my point.
You've got 5 seconds to think of it, because I'm moving it on completely to another topic.
Right, go ahead. I'll come up with it on another morning.
Was it about his temperament? Was it the way you love his accent? Was that it?
I genuinely can't remember. It's escaped me now. We'll move
That's
on.
fine. It's a close season. We'll allow it. I was just fine. I was going to say that you've probably seen this online, that we have a pitch at Celtic Park. They've got a new surface down. I think it's been widely covered that they're changing the surface and didn't waste any time. I think after Trophy Day, wasn't it? They basically had it up a couple of days later. We're not playing until, to be fair, probably only just over a month from now against Newcastle. Is that the 18th, something like that? So they've got a little bit of time, but that'll be the next game at Celtic Park. But also, a few people talking about the dugouts being missing in the photo that was shared online. So potentially new dugouts, potentially just cleaning the same dugouts, and maybe they just take them in the close season. I don't really know. I also noticed that the big kind of screen is down as well. So I don't know. Work being done at Celtic Park is the bottom line here.
Well, last season they changed the whole tunnel, didn't they? Or was that 2 seasons ago, whenever it was? But they changed the whole kind of layout of the paper that was in the tunnel, or the wallpaper, whatever it was. But I don't think that's high on the agenda for journalists reporting of what's going on at Celtic Park. We don't know much. It will all come to fruition in that Newcastle friendly. We'll see how it's looking. I doubt there's going to be a big crowd there, to be honest. That's another debate we can have. But over a month away, and it's not actually that long. It's the 19th, I believe, that game. So a month and 10 days before everyone's back at Celtic Park. And the season finished, 2-3 weeks ago now. So it's actually not that quick a turnaround when you think of it.
Is our ticket sales not great for that Newcastle game? I take it because they're priced quite heavily, and
because I think it's not even on the season ticket as well for a lot of supporters. So it's and I think I don't know what the prices are, but I doubt people are going to be queuing up to pay for it. People are especially season ticket holders. I think it should be one where you get a free game on your season ticket every season.
100%.
I'm not going to moan.
I think you should get more than that. I think given that prices are going up and the way the Celtic support backs the team in so many ways, but financially chiefly, I think you should get a pre-season game. And I still think you should get a European qualifier, home leg like you used to. Now, I know that would be the only qualifier that we play, and the club have always tended to keep that final round and put it on sale separately to make a few extra million, but I think a little touch like that wouldn't go unnoticed with the Celtic support, but we can debate that another day. But I mean, that Newcastle game, it would be a shame if the crowd was really poor, because I think if you put that in the season ticket, Newcastle, I think I got like 7,000 or 8,000 coming to that game, so it should be a great atmosphere. It's a good test for the team against a good Newcastle side, the 2 League Cup winners from Scotland and England as well, which you could kind of push that narrative as well if you wanted.
Eddie making his return, or making
Eddie Howe stuff. Yeah, I mean, like, it should really be like a proper crowd that day, and I think the club have kind of messed up, to be honest. But hey ho, we're in the close season. Let's not spend too long slagging the club off for the decisions they make. What was that about Snoop Dogg? I just saw something going on there at the bottom of the screen. Snoop Dogg.
Yeah,
Snoop Dogg wants to sell, but Dennis, are you all right? Can we check in on Dennis? What's going on here?
To be fair, I saw this story yesterday. Comments from Snoop Dogg saying he wants to bring a pop-up burger van outside Celtic Park, which was probably the last on my bingo card for 2025.
Where has he said this?
I'm not sure. I just scrolled past it on Twitter, if I'm being brutally honest. It was my day off yesterday. But very, very interesting comments. He's never had his love for Celtic. One thing I will say about Snoop Dogg, though, when Celtic won the first league title under Postecoglou, he said he was going to come over and celebrate with the team and everything would be on him. Did it happen? No.
I do remember that, actually. We'll have a big party and all of that kind of stuff.
Never happened. That's all.
He's looking to... this is in the Guardian, so there must be something in it. He wants to open a burger van at Celtic Park. He's already published a cookbook.
For cooking, I don't imagine it's food if it's Snoop Dogg that he's cooking. But no, I wonder how much it would be charging you for burgers, because getting back to Celtic Park, some of the prices for food inside the stadium is quite expensive. But if he ran them for cheaper than what's inside the stadium, then he might be onto something, actually.
He says, I would love to bring a pop-up burger van to a sports stadium to show fans that food at stadiums can be good. It's got to be Celtic Park, man. And then he goes on to talk about the key to a good burger, which is apparently love in the preparation, which is a bit flowery for me. He then goes on to actually talking about the ingredients. Ground beef's got to be mixed with some secret spices. See, this is proper stuff now. Good quality cheese, maple cured bacon. He says the Celtic fans are going to love it, and to make sure they are just right, Snoop is going to be serving them himself.
This is the most off-season story I have ever heard in my life. We are talking about ground beef burger recipes on the morning briefing, you can tell it's pre-season, off-season.
I'm just gutted Dennis has only brought this up with 5 minutes to go. Maybe he brought it up early and I'm just seeing it now. If this had come in 5 minutes into the video, we'd still be talking about it. Okay. Oh, he's also, one final comment. Am I going to bring my burgers to Rangers as well? Nah, I think I will give that a miss. Am I being done here? Are these actual quotes from Snoop Dogg? Dear oh dear, I'm going to research this and get back to you soon. Any other comments on Snoop Dogg or anything else, Josh?
I don't think so. Sadly not. That would be quite something though. Bring it for the Newcastle friendly, then you might attract a crowd for that game actually. There you go.
Clever. Okay, we'll leave it there. More on the website. Cheers, Big Dom. More on the website. Not much about Snoop Dogg, I'll be honest, but stuff on Greg Taylor and the story there. Plenty of other interesting things going on. Neil Lennon, I think, talking a bit about James Forrest as well, which was interesting, so people can check up on that. But yeah, we'll leave it there for now. I really do appreciate you all tuning in during the close season as we rattle through June, and we'll keep doing this. I'll chat to you very soon.